All right, how about we come together and spend the last part of class talking about what you read. You can stay, just kind of roll where you can hear. Okay, so let's pick up where I lived and what I lived for. Okay, and I'd like to hear what you guys found in the text that you thought stood out. So who did not get a chance to talk yesterday? Savannah? I see you waving your hand over there. What did you pick out of there, where I lived and what I lived for?
I picked, it said, our life is like German Confederacy made up of petty states with its boundary forever fluctuating, so that even German cannot tell you how it is bounded at any moment. I wasn't really sure what you meant by it.
Okay.
So I wrote it down.
You were supposed to.
I liked what it was like saying.
Okay.
I just didn't like.
Wasn't totally sure?
Yeah.
Well, on a side note, when it comes to history, the Germany that you know did not exist in the 1800s. Either did the Italy that you know. Germany was a series of, if you guys remember reading not ancient history, excuse me, but history where you see Prussia. Remember old Prussia? It was there, it was gone, it was bigger, it was two parts. I remember it all over the place, then it disappeared. The Prussians are the Germans. The Hessians are the Germans. Remember the Hessians from the American Revolutionary War that were hired by the British to fight us, and Washington crossed the Delaware and got them on Christmas morning when they were hungover. Germany was Confederate states. They weren't a United States. And Germany had a sort of a unification, which was a bit tumultuous. I don't know. I've never read the history on it. I have more of the Wikipedia understanding. And when I say Wikipedia, I mean I looked at the first paragraph and I'm like, ugh. Okay? But I do know this. Some people did not like the idea of German unification, and they had massive immigration, and they came here in the late 1800s. They're part of that third wave, right? When we read about the Irish immigration, the Irish were the big ones, but they had a lot of Germans coming here. But the Germans were industrious. They were beer makers, sausage makers. The Irish were, well, God love them. They came over here. We came over here, right? Okay. So that's what he's talking about. Germany is fighting amongst itself about confederacy, but they don't even know what they're doing. And that's what he's saying, that he's making that comparison that most people in life feel that way. They're all disjointed and broken up, and they don't know how to find a type of happiness. And he's trying to teach us. The Transcendentalists were trying to teach us, but Thoreau here is trying to teach us how we can find it. Eris, did you talk yesterday?
No.
Give me something that you wrote down. Thank you, by the way.
I wanted to live deep into the all the narrow life, to live so thoroughly and Spartan life. I thought we meant by that is that he wanted all that what life could offer to him, so he can remain at peace and content with how he's living.
Okay.
I thought it was interesting how he keeps bringing up Spartan.
He doesn't want to miss anything, and Jessica, can you hear me out there?
Yeah.
Okay. You want to roll in here where you're closer? You're good? You can hear? Okay. One of the things that he spends time discussing in here, there's that, in the top of 237, he says, in the midst of the chopping sea of civilized life. So he's comparing life to being on a choppy sea, right? Stormy sea. Such are the clouds and storms and quicksands and 1,001 items to be allowed for, that a man has to live if he would not founder and go to the bottom. Meaning like a man just all of a sudden flips over like a ship and goes straight to the bottom. That's what he's comparing life to. And he says that most people don't even make it to the port at all. Like, this is our goal in life as a ship, to get to the port. We never make it there because we're swamped. And he's like, I don't want to do that. I want to enjoy life. I want to take snap the bone in half and suck the marrow out of life. I want to live for me. Where do you think these guys got this cockamamie idea about living free and doing what I want to do and not doing what society expects me to do? Where do you think they got this crazy notion? Remember, it's 1840. Have we heard any of this stuff before? About doing what we want to do? Adele knows the answer, but she's afraid to say it.
I don't know. I mean, I wish I did. I remember you saying something yesterday about the new wave of.
But I'm going to tell you, I thought you knew it because I thought I saw it in your eyes. It's pre-transcendentalist. You got it from the generation before. And I thought, help her out, anybody. And, what's that?
The Enlightenment?
Somebody between the Enlightenment and between the and Transcendentalists. It is the Enlightenment period. It's an article. It's a document. Right? The Declaration of Independence, right? That the sole purpose of a people when it comes to government, that the government's job is to ensure freedoms, right? And then we got 10 freedoms that we're really keen on, right? The Bill of Rights. It is 10, right? Yeah, it's 10. All right. Well, don't tell Mr. Jacobs I had to pause on that. Glad we're not recording this. Anyway, and then he says that the other thing, the government's job is to ensure that we all have the right for life, liberty, and happiness. That is a governmental philosophy that our country embraced. The Transcendentalists take that the next moment. The country can be free. That's fine. I'm going to be free to do what I want. I'm not going to hurt anybody else's chance of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But if I don't want to be a pencil maker, I won't be a pencil maker. If I want to take my degree from Harvard and roll it up and stick it on my nose, that's my business, right? That's me. That's what I want to do. So they're taking that liberty that was guaranteed to us by the government because we are the government. They're taking it that next level to that personal level. I will achieve my own way. Now, society forces us into things. And that's this, I wanted to live life, I didn't want to live what was not life. Society forces us. And I think we talked about this yesterday, but in my little dream world, you guys all took AP language and composition and rhetoric because you couldn't wait to get in here and talk about rhetoric and powerful speeches and how that changed the world, right? That's my dream world. It's also, right? And it's also a dream world that, like, Mr. Jacobs washes my car daily and calls me sir, but that doesn't happen either, right? So those are my dreams. The reality is you were forced in here. You were forced by your evil parents, or you were forced by your evil school counselor, or even I came to your class and said, come take class with me next year, right? Free candy, okay? So all those things, or you didn't want to do any of it, but you know it's the pathway to college, and the whole world has been telling you since you were in the womb, go to college, right? And you're here because it's part of that path. You don't really want to be here. And that's why I want you all to quit school, quit this class, and, oh, never mind. Sorry, that's wrong message. That's later. No. That's your parental pressure, your school pressure, your societal pressure. You've been told you guys are pretty smart. You're very driven, and you belong here, and you do belong here. But you didn't make the choice to be in here, unless you want to lie to me now for extra credit. Who made the choice to be here? Look at his hands going up. Just two. The rest of you are honest. Okay.
You said extra credit?
I did say extra credit. Oh, now they're up. Now they're up. Uniform. So I get, we get that. And again, you guys are kind of forced into that. And that's what he's saying. I'm not going to live my whole life that way. And even you guys have kind of been told by your parents, probably to a person here, you got to go to school, got to go to college. And then when you get to college, I'm good with you doing what you want to do. But there are some that don't have that choice. There are some, I've been told by students, I got two choices. I can be in science or medicine. My parents don't care which one. And I'm like, whoo, well, that's narrow, right? Any field in those two are just fine. So I guess art major was out, right? And so that is, and then there's whole societies that are rigid, and freedom is not something that's even celebrated. And I'm not talking about like China, stuff like that. I'm just talking about hard line social aspects. And then in America in the 1840s, women were supposed to get married, period. And in this transcendental community, I mean, Margaret Fuller refused to get married. That's the big stand that she made. Oh, I'm not going to get married. I'll do my own thing. But, so, again, that's why we're reading these. We are the way we are today because of those who came before us, made stands or made gestures of civil disobedience. That's why we're reading Malcolm X. You're reading the early life of the events that made him to the man that he was, right? So give me another quote out of here. Who didn't get a chance? Dylan, did you speak yesterday?
No.
Go right ahead.
The nation itself is just such an unwieldy and overgrown establishment, cluttered with furniture and tripped up by its own tops, ruined by luxury and needless expense. I thought it was interesting that in his time period, he thought that there was too much like luxury and technology compared to like nowadays, what he would think.
Yes.
How much we have now.
Yeah, I don't think he would survive long here. He would, his anxiety would be through the roof. We'd all be like, it's all right, man. Just get yourself an Instagram account. It'll all go away soon, right? He wouldn't make it very well. He'd probably be mad at me that my Instagram is Transcendental Teacher and that he's my cover, right? He'd be like, no, I don't want that. You know, too bad. Gianna, give me something from where I lived and what I lived for.
This whole earth that we inhabit is but a point in space.
You guys are getting all the complicated ones. I'm not even going at the easy ones, the low-hanging fruit here, right? Yeah, he's trying to make the point that this is not the be-all, the end-all. It's not everything, you know? And so if it's not everything, then maybe what everybody else is telling you to do is not necessarily everything, right? Did anybody have, still we live meanly like ants? All right, just one, right? Comparing us to ants. Ants go in a line, why? What? What's that?
Pheromones?
Yeah, you want to get scientific, right? Because the other ant did, right? Yeah. I mean, they're used to, they don't understand that then, but ants just kind of follow the track. You know, they don't step out, except for Flick. God bless Flick, right? Thank God we have Disney, right? So you have, he's like, that's how we live. Mean is two words. You guys know it as being mean and not nice. And then you say a word means this. But mean then was low and basic and hard, right? Austere is more of a common word. You know, living in a cabin that's not heated in the woods in the wintertime. You know, I mean, he had a fireplace, but that's a mean existence. But it wasn't somebody being unfriendly to him, okay? Anyone have our life is frittered away by detail? All right, good, right? Because we're worried about 1,000 things. And you're worried about 1,000 things and you can't appreciate the sunset or the sunrise. Or if you like coffee, just hold it and look at it and let it steam up your glasses. And you're like, oh yeah, coffee. All right? No, we're too busy running, like the other day, I run into work. I got a cup of coffee, hit a pothole, and it went all over the place. And I'm like, rats. Yeah, that's exactly what I yelled. Rats, I'm so upset. My coffee has spilled everywhere, you know, but I couldn't enjoy it. And it wasn't enjoyable driving like this. Yeah, all over the inside of the Camaro, yes. So, which would be very disappointing to Thoreau, by the way. He would not like the fact that sporting around on that. And then the last one, so we can get ready to get out of here. One word defines all of it. His advice to us.
You mean like one word?
Just one word.
Simplicity?
Simplicity. Okay? And how do we know that's the message? He says it 3 times. Not because he's an idiot. Right? He's telling you simplicity, simplicity, simplicity. That's the noun. Then he gives us his examples of how crazy the world is. And then he gives us the advice on what action to take. The verb, simplify. Simplify. Right? Just mellow out. It'll be all okay. Speaking of mellowing out, we can't have a dysfunctional room at the end of the week. See you, kids.